All right, guys, we are live. Good evening. This is a GEG Hawaii Community Hangout on air, and we're talking about the Hōkūleʻa Voyage and valuable lessons that we can teachers can use in the classroom. So if you're joining us live tonight, we appreciate it. Thanks for chiming in, and we'll have a discussion about around our special guests' experiences on the voyage and their participation in the voyage, and we'll talk about how we can connect the voyage to our classroom and what kind of lessons we can teach and how we can connect the voyage to our lessons. So let's get through introductions first. I'll start us off. I'm Mike Fricano. I'm a teacher at Iolani School. I have no connection to the voyage whatsoever. I'm just here to facilitate the discussion. But I know Hye Jung, as she works at my school, and she just came back from the voyage, and so I thought it would be a great idea to bring this discussion to other educators in the state of Hawaii and beyond. Hye Jung, can you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, aloha everybody. My name is Hye Jung Kim. I'm a math teacher at Iolani School, and I was recently on Hokule'a for leg 12, which was Brisbane to Darwin in Australia, and I was the education specialist on board.
Cool. Thanks for joining us tonight. Linda, tell us who you are.
Aloha everyone. My name is Linda Furuto, and I am a math education faculty at the University of Hawaii at Manoa's College of Education. And so far I've been really humble and grateful to be part of 3 legs. My first leg was last May through July. That was Hawaii to Tahiti. And then so leg 1, I think maybe leg 5 or 4. It was Samoa, so American Samoa to Samoa, Olohenga or Swains Island, back to Pago Pago. And then that was August through September of this past year. And then my third leg was February through March of 2015, and that was in Aotearoa. It was the Auckland Education Outreach leg number 9. And my kuleana are education specialist and apprentice navigator. Mahalo.
Awesome. Thanks. And Darienne.
Aloha. I'm Darienne Dey. I'm busy, and I'm eternally indebted to Hye Jung for professionally and personally. I currently work at UH Oahu and Leeward Community College in the Education and Math departments, and I'm a student at UH under Linda in math education. And most recently I sailed on leg, I guess depending on which leg it was, Linda. I sailed right after Linda. We were a tag team. I sailed from Samoa, American Samoa to Tonga to Aotearoa, New Zealand. And I was safety officer, science educator, and apprentice navigator.
Wow. Cool. So I'm sure we'll have viewers out there that aren't very familiar with the voyage and the canoe and what this whole thing is about. So would one of you or a couple of you try to explain what the voyage is and what the goal or the purpose of it is?
Linda, you want to answer this one?
Sure, I can start, and then feel free, guys. I know Darienne said that she's under me, but actually the people who are part of this experience tonight, Hye Jung and Darienne, are my superheroes, and I definitely look up to them, not just because I'm shorter than them. So, the mission of the Worldwide Voyage is to malama honua, which means to care for our island Earth. I don't want to take up too much time, but really and truly, I want to start by saying that the story of Hokule'a is a story of teachers. It's a story of educators who had the courage and the fortitude and the faith and the vision to bring together Pohanawa'a, our communities of our canoe communities, our education communities, our kupuna, 40 years ago to resurrect Hokule'a, our Star of Gladness. And at the time, none of us were born yet, but it was a time when Hawaii was going through a lot of healing. And so Hokule'a was built as a bicentennial project. She was Hawaii's project. And as our elders say, we'd be willing to bet that none of the other bicentennial projects are thriving as much as Hokule'a is, and it's because she's not just a project, she's not just a scientific experiment to prove that Native Hawaiians and other voyagers sailed throughout the Pacific. She's not just a cultural artifact, but she is a living and breathing manifestation of the respect and reverence we have for our ancestors that walked before us. They gave us ground upon which to stand, ocean pathways and highways upon which to tread, and we do it for future generations. We believe that it's our kuleana to take care of our planet because we have limited natural resources and treasured cultural heritages. And so as we're sailing around the world, education is one of the primary goals, to connect with our brothers and sisters, because that's really how we think of them. Our brothers and sisters around the world, we each have something that we are willing to sail for. And so we want to know what it is. What are these stories of hope? What are you willing to sail for? What am I willing to sail for? What are we collectively willing to sail for? And that's part of the motivation, and it's what keeps me going when it's cold and dark at night in the canoe in the middle of the ocean. We know our values, and we know what we're willing to sail for.
Awesome. So what I have to ask, what drew each of you to the voyage? What made you want to be a part of it?
Okay, I'll start. So the two people that you see here, Linda and Darienne, are the people who inspired me to be involved. Through Linda's ethnomathematics program, which I just hung around as a guest for the past 4 years. So I got to see Hokule'a and hear about her story, and then listen in at Marine Education Training Center of all the stories that people had to offer. And I was just very thankful for that opportunity. And since then, I've been trying to, wherever I was, because I've been at lab school, I've been at West Oahu, kind of jumping around from place to place. I wanted to bring that in because Hokule'a and its story, and through Linda and Darienne, has inspired me so much for myself to be a better person, to be more connected, just overall to be better, and that I was trying to bring in that experience to as many people as possible. So it was kind of an obsession. So anytime Hokule'a was around, I was trying to be there. Any events that were happening, I was trying to get my students out there. So I really have to thank Linda and Darienne for exposing me to the story and to the people that I've met throughout the years. So thank you.
Awesome. How about you, Darienne?
Again, I fully have Linda to blame for the obsession, in case I put it correctly. And again, you hear those words, the Ethnomath Institute. I participated in Linda's Ethnomathematics and Calculus Summer Institute in 2011, and part of that entailed actually getting to visit Hokule'a. She was in dry dock in pieces, but as anybody who's involved with the Va'a can attest, I mean, there's just something about Hokule'a in any form that just leaves you different than you were before. And so after that, I've been involved ever since, and increasingly, and it's been great because it's informed my personal life, my professional life, my academic life. I've met so many wonderful people because of it, and I've gotten to benefit from their presence in my life. So, like Hye Jung said, it's a gift that's meant to be shared, and I've just been loving being able to pay it forward that gift that Linda gave me. So, Hana Linda.
Great. How about you, Linda?
I think my first exposure to Hokule'a was in kindergarten when my class built Hokule'a out of brown paper bags and popsicle sticks. It was one of my fondest childhood memories. I was born just after the maiden voyages of the 70s, and so it was a time when Hawaii was truly embracing Hokule'a, and so I think that my life has just been guided by the wind and the waves to find Hokule'a and to figure out what my path is supposed to be in life. I did my 7th grade science fair project at Kahuku Intermediate School on navigation lessons from Hokule'a, and I made it to the Windward District Science Fair. Yay! I didn't win, but I won the best prize in life, which is getting to be part of educational communities like this one here. So, and that's what Hokule'a has done for me. Yeah, I don't know. I learned to paddle in the 10th grade. I transferred to Punahou, and Marian Lyman Mercero, one of the early Wahine Voyagers, she was my paddling coach, and she taught me to listen to the wind and the waves and to listen to ourselves as well, our inner voices. And so I guess that's kind of how I've been involved. And then I went away for school and I came back about 10 years later, and then I know I just asked me to be part of the education hui, and so I've been involved for ever since then. Yeah, almost 10 years now.
Wow, that's great. Well, okay.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys. I love you guys. I totally love you guys. You too.
It just, I think it just demonstrates how close the crew becomes on the voyage by how you guys talk to each other and interact with each other. It's great. For our live viewers out there, I just want to remind you guys, if you're watching live, the Q&A app is open. So if you want to ask any questions or if you have any comments during the discussion, feel free to chime in with the Q&A app. And tonight's show notes document is right below my head here. It's bit.ly/GEG Hye Hokule'a, and it is case sensitive, so be careful of that. And the document is it's available for anyone to comment. So we'll plug in any resources that we discuss and share tonight, but if any of our viewers out there have any resources that they would like to share along the way, feel free to add it using the comment tool inside the document. And we'd love to hear from our viewers throughout tonight's show. Okay? I did have another question. You guys mentioned what your roles or what your positions were on the voyage, but can you kind of elaborate on what those positions meant? Like, what were your responsibilities as an education specialist, I think you said, or a safety, what was your role, Darienne?
Officer?
Yeah. So can you guys elaborate on what those roles meant and what your responsibilities were in terms of those positions? What was an education specialist?
Good job.
Me? Okay, I'm the newest of the ed specialist. So Linda and Darian probably know way more than I do, but briefly, education specialists are in charge of any connections that we make while we are away. So we any Google Hangouts that happen while we're on the Va'a, those are, so on the Va'a we have iPad 2, which is for the education specialist. So we can do our blogs. We make sure that crew members are doing their blogs. If there's something interesting that's happening, or if we have a science update or something, then we ask certain crew members to do a blog update for it to be published. And also, along with that, any interviews that come in, we work very closely with the media specialist, which is an OEV TV person, to coordinate who will be doing it, or if it's already decided which time, and kind of the logistics of things. And then once we get on land, the connections with the local schools that are there, and what that looks like, I think, varies from port to port in which we visit schools or organizations or whatever that looks like. But in general, logistics in relation to Hokule'a and connections also back home with the Google Hangouts with various schools. Yeah, Linda, Darienne, you have something to add to Ed Specialist?
Yeah. I love how, I mean, even though, part of the voyage is to demonstrate that the traditional methods of navigation are still good, if not sometimes better than our present forms of navigation, but you still incorporate some level of technology into the voyage, which is great, right? So if you want to connect to the world, so you guys blog, you guys do Hangouts, you see a lot of video recordings, a lot of posts on social media, so that's great. I like that you're still able to connect to the world even though you're out in the middle of the ocean somewhere or in various locations around the world.
And part of that is safety. So, I mean, part of it is the educational mission, but ultimately, we're out there to learn, we're out there to spread goodwill, we're out there to make connections, but we also want to make sure that we come back and that we're taking calculated risks. I mean, it's a lot of fun and it's very challenging, but at the same time, there's a lot that's outside of our control. And part of that technology that we have on board, on both Hokule'a and Hike'ālia, you might notice there's solar panels, or people have noticed that. That's to make sure that we have a power supply with a zero carbon footprint, nevertheless, but so that we can have power should we need it for emergency purposes or for communication purposes. So we do stay in touch in other ways too, so we can know if there's a heads up about weather, but otherwise, like you said, like we are confident that we also don't need those cues. We don't need to chime into, I don't know, websites to figure out what direction we're going or what the weather might be the next day, because that's also something that we're trained into. So, yeah, that's what a safety officer does. He or she cares about all the equipment that keeps us safe and keeps us able to focus on the mission of the voyage, as opposed to the incidentals and, I don't know, the other stuff.
Were there any other positions that you guys take on?
Oh yeah, and Hye Jung mentioned there'd be science updates. And so, science educator, we would take samples in bucket form from the side of the ma'a and just see what we were experiencing out there, see what was around us, because indeed we were in somebody else's realm. We're all kind of out of our comfort zone a little bit out there, but there's lots of interesting things going on that we may or may not be able to see at the microbial level or just really deep below the surface. So we try to, I don't know, bring that to audiences, both in terms of educational form in classrooms or just for people who are following the voyage and want to know what it's like to be out there. That's always fun. That's always exciting to see signs of life out there other than your crew. Yeah.
Great. We have someone in the Q&A, someone we know.
I know. I couldn't stop laughing when I saw that. I apologize.
Personal questions.
Oh no.
I don't know if we can answer these questions, but how do you go number 2 on the Hōkūle'a?
Hey, Mike.
It's a valid question. I know when I've been in Hangouts with kids, those are some of the questions they have, right? Like what is hygiene like? How do you keep things clean? Where do you go to the bathroom when you're out in the middle of the ocean? What happens to that? And without giving too much information, can you guys answer that question?
Hey, Mike, real quick.
Yeah.
I think because I'm on Hawaii.edu, I can't see the questions.
Oh, you can't access the Q&A?
But you just said it, yeah, so I think I know what's going on now.
Linda, you want to take that one? How do you go number?
What is your hygiene like on the canoe?
How do you go number 2 on the canoe? That's the question.
Or just hygiene in general.
Hygiene.
We'll keep it simple.
I
Oh
think so personal hygiene is very important. It gets more difficult in colder weather, so I think if Darian could talk about that one a little bit more. But,
Oh, sure, okay. I mean, for example, maybe, Hye Jung, you experienced this too, maybe in Australia, but venturing outside of the tropics, between Tonga and Aotearoa, that we were gaining a lot of latitude, and although I'm originally from Washington State, it felt way colder than any like winter I'd ever experienced in Seattle. Just because you constantly have the wind chill. There's lots of, if it's too cold, if it's cold outside, even though the sun is shining, you're still bathing with seawater, and you may not want to do that. You might just want to keep your clothes on, but you need to get clean. So you just kind of grow some thick skin, and you realize that that's a priority. You again, it's a matter of safety and consideration for you, for your family, and your crewmates, that you stay as healthy as possible. And yeah, you just I don't know, you just take calculated risks, but try to make sure that you are always you're conscious of your decisions and conscious of yourself and how you're feeling, and because little problems can turn into big problems out there, and so it's just kind of being kind of maka'ala and aware is the key. Does that answer your question, Brendan?
I think so.
I think we did. So
Great.
Darian, Linda, and Mike, I would like to, because we have mathematicians here, so
Yeah.
Linda and Dare and everybody, I think we need to take advantage of that part, because there's so much that I learned while on the canoe about, because I don't have that intuition when I'm in the ocean, whereas other people do have that intuition, and things that are just, whether it's memorized or intuitive, every time I was out there and making any kind of calculation or hearing a number, I had to ask my watch captain and captain, like, how is this working? Why do we divide this by this? And they would walk me through like those calculations and why it's true. So I would love to hear Linda and Darian a little bit about like the mathematical aspects that are more intuitive to sailors that are not to me. So whereas I have to like calculate things and see it done, I feel like most of the people on my crew and other crew are a little more intuitive of where we're going and how to keep track without writing everything down.
Yeah, definitely.
Go for it, Linda.
Maybe one way to connect one of Mike's original questions about tell me a little bit about the mission of the Worldwide Voyage with Hye Jung's question about mathematical applications. I think one of the most fundamental mathematical applications is the compass, the Hawaiian star compass, which some of our master navigators adapted from other star compasses throughout the Pacific, including the Micronesian star compass from Papa Mahofela, who gifted us that knowledge. Oh, thanks, Darian.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Derek.
Backwards, though.
All right.
Backwards, but yeah.
So,
Sorry to interrupt. Is that online somewhere that we could
mhm.
put a link to it in the show notes for everybody? Oh, I'll try and do that while you continue talking, Linda.
Okay. So the star compass is a circle. There are 32 houses, and so each house is like 360 degrees divided by 32 is 11.25 degrees. So each star house is 11.25 degrees apart, and the star compass works because when you're navigating, you're at the center of the of the star compass. So the canoe is at the center of the star compass. When you're on the back, so either port or starboard side, so like the left or the right hand side, you're looking at markings, either red or green, that will help us figure out where those star houses are, so how we can align the canoe and our direction with where we're trying to head. And a lot of this is also based on knowing the declinations of stars. And so, for example, when we were sailing from Hawaii to Tahiti and we were crossing over Kapikoa, the equator, there's a certain point where we couldn't see Hokupa'a or Arcturus. We couldn't see Polaris, the North Star, anymore because we went over into the southern hemisphere. And so Polaris, we needed to know where Polaris was in the degrees, which we could use our hand to calculate off of the horizon, because that's how we can find our way. That's one of the constellations that we used. We also used the Southern Cross. So when the top and the bottom of the cross were lining up and perpendicular with the horizon, then we were able to find our way and point ourselves in the right direction. And the way that the Hawaiian star compass works is not like a Western compass. You know, like if you look at a Western compass, it will generally tell you like north 15 degrees east or something like that. It's unidirectional. But with the Hawaiian star compass, you know, you can't always see the stars. You can't always see celestial bodies. And so when you can't, then that's when you've got to rely on where you've come from. So sunrise and sunset are the most important times for navigation. You have to rely on where you've come from to know where you are, to know where you're headed. And I think that's philosophically what Polynesian Voyaging Society is founded upon. So that's just one example using the Hawaiian star compass. Darienne?
And a link to that star compass is in the show notes. Thanks for adding that in. So our viewers can access that if you want to see what that looks like.
Yeah, and Mike, also, I'm sorry I'm not able to add to the chat, but we have a website, the Ethno Mathematics and STEM Institute website. It has a portal for curriculum and lesson plans that have been designed by past participants. So Darienne actually did a phenomenal job on her lesson plan involving the Hawaiian Star Compass and trigonometric applications. And so I think it's pretty cool, but there are other lesson plans available on the website as well, if folks are interested in checking that out.
Okay. I think I found it, so I'll toss it in the show notes.
Thanks, Linda. It's just funny to think that I think a lot of people, that's like the first thing that kind of grabs them about, maybe besides the va'a herself or the other va'a, but like the whole idea of non-instrument navigation, in being a part of kind of the crew education at this point, bringing new crew members into Yohana. A lot of them state that the reason they're interested, they got involved because they were just so curious about non-instrument navigation. And maybe some of them are interested for the mathematical reasons. They want to nerd out like us. But they also, I think, deep down kind of, they want to feel powerful in that way, and that you can be your own measuring stick. You can use your own hand to measure the horizon, from the stars, the horizon. Everything you need is basically in you, or what you bring as a person to the va'a. I think everybody wants to feel like they're, they want to feel that agency, and so they're really curious about how to do it. And then they end up staying for all kinds of other reasons. Like they developed a family they never thought they would have found in such a community, or they decided they were passionate about environmentalism, malama honua, or they are salty sea dogs now and they can't leave the ocean. But some actually, like Linda was talking about with the institute, a lot of teachers, it helps them improve their practice, either as math teachers or teachers of any subject. Sometimes the voyaging as a theme helps them integrate more math into whatever subject they do teach. It's kind of like the hook for teachers and students alike, and for the general public. But yeah, at the time when I did that lesson plan, I knew so much less than I know now, and I still don't know very much. But I don't know. Thanks for reminding me, Linda, because I think back to that Darienne, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, she was so stoked, and I'm still stoked. So this must be a good thing, right? Being part of this. But yeah, a lot of what we do on board, I mean, it can be boiled down to things that everybody does in high school, or maybe if they're at the lab school, they get to do it in 8th grade. Simple conversions, like between nautical miles, statute miles, which are land miles, feet, and then converting between days, hours, minutes, seconds, to try to calculate the speed of the Va'a just by dropping a cracker over the side or observing bioluminescent plankton lighting up from the impact of the hull. So we make these calculations and trust in them because we trust people who made them, or maybe we figured the mathematics out on our own and we know it works. So we have less to carry with us on the canoe. Just sharpened tools. Mentally.
If I could.
So it doesn't get worse. Okay. So okay, yeah. So thanks for bringing up the mathematic topic with the voyage. So how I know, like, you know, it was nice to hear your experiences and what your roles are and what your passion is with the voyage. But how can we now connect this to the classroom? So what are some ways that teachers can use the voyage in their own lessons, or are there lessons already available that teachers can use in the classroom, or what are some ideas that you have for teaching lessons in mathematics or in you know, any other subject area? Does have any ideas on that subject?
So I'll start with, oh, echoes again. I'll start with the resources. On Hokule'a.com, there's already a section dedicated to curriculum that has been shared. So I don't think the three of us can do justice to the amount of information that's provided by other teachers. So I will put that in the shared document so that everybody can see. And as far as bringing the material into my personal classroom, I will be working a little more this semester on it. I haven't gotten a chance to teach trig in a few semesters. And while I was on the voyage, I saw just so much trigonometry involved in when we're off course, when we're traditionally navigating. If we're off course by a certain number of houses for however many hours, how do we correct ourselves from that? And all of that was trigonometry, and so I have my daily calculations of how do we know how far we are off from the course that we set, and what kind of values go into, like, what if we're not off by a complete house? Like, how do you do that? So me personally, for my curriculum, I'll be working on it a little bit more. But I think on that topic, Linda and Darienne have a lot more to offer. So I'll pass it over to them.
Go, Linda. Tag.
Okay. Yeah, so I just wanted to start off by saying I agree with what Hye Jung has said, that there are a lot of resources that have been developed over the past 4 decades. I also wanted to connect your question, Mike, to what Darienne was saying. She mentioned that, yes, certainly there are mathematical applications, but I truly believe that we're trying to look at education holistically, and so that not just mathematics, but STEM or STEAM or STEMs with a sense of purpose and a sense of place, and social studies. Really, a lot of the work that we're engaging in is along the lines of the direction of the the Department of Education with the college career community readiness definition. I was tuning into the Board of Education meeting today, and this morning they talked about the new social studies framework. And a lot of what they were mentioning there can be directly tied to what we're trying to do with educationally with the Worldwide Voyage. Specifically, I wanted to mention that since Hikianalia is home in the Hawaiian Islands, one thing that we're trying to do is invite as many teachers as possible to be part of this. So whether you've known about Hokule'a for 4 decades or you're just hearing about Hokule'a tonight, what we're trying to do is we have centers. So for example, so these are main points where we'll be trying to do deeper touch engagements: Poka'ibe, Kewalos, Haleiwa, the Marine Education Training Center, Haleiwa, Poka'ibe.
You guys going to HIMB? Moku'olo'e?
We are. There are more places that we're going to stop over, like Waimea Bay, Nanakuli, other places. But the centers, I mentioned those because we're going to try to have teacher professional development sessions scheduled there. And so we'll invite teachers to come down to participate, to learn about the voyage, to learn about more ways that they can tailor what we're doing in the Worldwide Voyage to their own classrooms. We'll also have community days on the weekends so we can allow schools or students or families to come down to the canoes and be able to touch the canoe and talk to crew members. We're also going to try to schedule times when schools can come down as well. And we are representatives from the Department of Education, Iolani, Punahou, Kamehameha Schools, UH, and we're just trying to we're calling this our prototype, and so we're gonna see what we're able to do in the next several months while Hikianalia is on Oahu before she goes to the other major Hawaiian islands. And this is a prototype for what we want to continue doing far beyond 2017 when Hōkūle'a returns to Hawaii. So we don't want the Worldwide Voyage and education to just end in 2017. We feel like what we're trying to do is think about a 25-year theory of change. So 25 years from now, what do we want our Hawaiian Islands to look like? What do we want our world to look like? And in order for that to happen, we need teachers. And so we're still working on this schedule, but once that is available, then we'll be distributing that throughout our networks. If you're not on the Hōkūle'a a listserv yet to be receiving announcements, we hope you'll sign up for that. Okay, I think I talked for a long time, but we hope to get all teachers involved, whether you've heard about this or whether you've known about Hōkūle'a for 4 decades or you're just hearing about it tonight. Thank you.
How can teachers get on that listserv that you talked about?
Hye Jung, did you want to talk about that?
I'm gonna find it on the website and I'll throw it on the Google Doc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If I could also mention, so like Hye Jung has been, she's really humble, but she's been so integral in making those technological connections and helping us just connect teachers and classrooms and schools and communities across thousands of miles. And so we've really relied on her, and she knows so much, and I'm really grateful for her support.
And I have to throw that back to Miki Tamita and Jenna Ishii, who are part of the education team at PBS. I've been doing such a small part of what they do and the amount of time that they spend on making everything possible, along with the communications team at PBS. So I've seen just a small bit of it, and I know how demanding that position is and how much, like, it's such a hard position to communicate and to connect. And along with that, I want to make a quick note. While I was in Australia, we got to visit 2 of the Reef Guardian schools. And so just learning about all these different kind of umbrella organizations that connect all the schools, I was really inspired by what they do. And so in Australia, the way I understand the Reef Guardian school system is if there are schools who are doing something for the ocean, and it doesn't have to have direct impact. So the first school that we visited, they were breeding the tropical fish so that people aren't taking it from the ocean. So that school had a more direct impact, but the second school that we visited were kind of more inland, and they were taking care of the stream that was connected to their school. So, and so they were planting trees alongside the stream. They were doing, these were elementary school students who are doing it, and they get this title of Reef Guardian Schools, and there's this network that's across Australia. And so what I wanted to see what's available, because nothing needs to be created if something is already happening, and we just need to connect those organizations. And I think Polynesian Voyaging Society, Mickey and Jenna are just out there doing their best trying to make those connections so that the teachers are coming together, the administrators are coming together towards this larger picture that we have for our students and that educators share. So it was good to see it in Australia, as well as like trying to get more of it back home. There's always things to learn and things to share. And from that experience in visiting the schools in Australia, we underestimate our students and our teachers so much. So yeah, just wanted to mention that before we move on.
Not just maybe bringing those ideas back home, but how can we connect our schools here with those schools in Australia so that we can share ideas across countries and across nations and you know, benefit from each other.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they have coral reefs. We have coral reefs, right? We have issues with our coral reefs just like they do. How can we benefit from the solutions that we've each come up with to help our own?
Yeah, we've definitely. Oh, sorry, Darienne, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's awesome, and we're connecting with so many schools everywhere too. But I feel like it's also helping us connect better among public schools, private schools, you know, primary, secondary, post-secondary institutions, everybody across the board. It's great to see that in our lifetime too. I mean, maybe that's happened a couple more times before this, but I don't know. It just seems like it's this strong front that they're putting up as far as being highly mobilized to help students of all ages and really serve Hawaii fully. And I think that's something we can, I mean, from what you've described in Australia and from stories we hear around the world, it's something that Jenna and Miki do a really good job of helping us figure out, see examples of how we can be better here in Hawaii. And not in terms of the environment, but also in terms of just our infrastructure and how schools connect with each other and how teachers connect with the community, everything. So,
yeah, so on that note,
Jack.
for those of you who are watching, Iolani School and I think one of the, we're having a session in UH Manoa School of Medicine and another school I forget the name of, but I will post that information up as well. So kind of like what we're talking about, let's get public, charter, and private schools all together. One of the projects that I got to learn from one of the crew members who are on my leg, General Wong, is the Alawi Project. So because Palolo Stream, Manoa, and Makiki all feed into the Alawi, we're going to meet, there's going to be a teacher hui that's going to meet, and it's open to anybody who is available. And I forget the exact date, but I'll post it on the Google Drive for any teachers who are in the region of any of those streams that feed into the Alawi, because I think this is a good starting point, and there are people who are, like Darienne said, mobilizing to get together and to work on a larger scale project and collaborate. And I'm very thankful for Megan at Iolani, the public-private partnership. I forget her official title, Mike. But but she's the one who's helping get things through, and then also several teachers throughout the state of Hawaii are just getting ready to collaborate and to partner up.
Yeah. Some great stuff coming our way this year. It's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we are just about at the 8 o'clock point, so I think we can wrap this up. Do you guys have any any last words to say before we go? Anything special you want to share? Any news or announcements to remind our educators about?
I just want to extend mahalo to all those who have joined us this evening. We really appreciate you. This is why we do it, because we love being part of your community. And to Mike and Hye Jung and Darienne, my superheroes, mahalo too.
And thank you for thank you to the three of you for joining us, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your already busy schedules on a weekday to participate in our Hangout and to share your experience and your knowledge with the world. So thank you to you three for coming on. Really appreciate that. And just as a reminder to our viewers out there, if you're watching this recording, you can check out our show notes document. It's right over here, below my name, bit.ly/GEG Hōkūleʻa. It is case sensitive, so be careful of the capitals and lowercase. There's some information as well as some resources that we shared tonight located in that document, so feel free to check that out. And the document it's open for commenting to anyone out there who has access to it, so if you have any resources of your own or questions to ask or comments to add to the document or the discussion later on, feel free to add it via the comment tool in the document. And with that, we'll end it there. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us. We had a great discussion around the voyage and education, and we'll see you all next time. Have a great night.
Thank you.